Hello and welcome into another edition of Sitting Down with Sgar. I'm the football voice of the Hoyas, Jeremy Huber, joined by Georgetown head coach Rob Scarlotta. Coach, thanks again for taking some time this week.
Great to see you, Jeremy.
Good to see you as well. Obviously, Coach, no moral victories, but, with Danny Lauder out of the lineup last week, and it looked like you guys against Columbia kind of found the roadmap to playing winning football. Can you kind of give your thoughts on how your team stayed in it and had a shot to win at the end against Columbia?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it a lot of times. This is one of the most competitive teams that we've had here at Georgetown, coming off of a very tough Wednesday practice today. It was almost like a preseason practice for us. So, we did not play well at times and played very well at times. So we're looking for more consistency across the board. And, like you mentioned, there's no moral victories. We expect everybody in our roster to be able to step up and play their role when they're called upon. So we're in a little bit of the next man up situation in a couple positions and really working with those players to continue to develop them through the season and hopefully get better play on the field to get the results that we're looking for.
Coach, you talk about competition. There have been some turnover issues under center. Does that keep being an open competition? Maybe you can find the right mix of getting offensive plays, but maybe not give the ball to the other team as much?
We joked about it in the meetings. Everybody's under competition pressure, myself included. So, we want to make sure that we're doing a great job of putting our guys in positions that they can be successful, and whether it's Danny Lauder under center, Des Thomas, or Jake Holstag, or Jack Johnson, or Aiden Krause, all the way through the roster. We're looking for our guys to execute at a high level. So, if you look on defense, we've probably played upwards of 20, 25 players in both the last two games. And that's a product of our young players developing and understanding what we're doing and just the overall competition that we want. And that's something that we need to foster to have success, this weekend, as well as after the bye week as we go through the Patriot League schedule.
Coach, want to get to that defense, but first we have to mention the offense with 176 yards on the ground. Jaden Sumter, nearly 100-yard day. What did the ground game do well against the Lions?
Yeah, I give Columbia a lot of credit. They changed some things that they had done against Lafayette on film, and I give Joe Porton and Coach Spence a lot of credit just within our system of looking at what was going to be successful in the second half. Probably one of our better games of going in at halftime and making some adjustments. And also the depth in the running back room. Jaden Sumter came in and did a great job. One of the tougher players that we have on the team and ran hard throughout the whole second half and really kept us in the game with our run game on offense.
Rob, you talked about your defense, and one thing that kind of stood out to me is that, Giancarlo Rufo, your captain, known as a guy who makes big plays for you, but that linebacking core, you talk about Cody Pham, Nye Mose, and the freshman Jack Casey all came in and had some big plays and good plays on the day. How proud are you of that group kind of stepping up the way they did?
I would just say overall, Coach Doherty's one of the best in the business, and, that doesn't mean that you don't have your tough days. Brown was a tough day for us on defense. So, it's one of those things where you don't sulk about it. You learn from the mistakes we made. And the one thing we emphasized the entire week was just getting back to the Hoya standard of playing with relentless effort on defense and running to the football and causing some havoc. So, that linebacker crew kind of led the way. Jack Casey, who you mentioned, is going to be a great one here. And he's joined by, Folo Shobawali, Henry Eber, a lot of younger guys that are getting some play right now and doing a great job for us, especially up front on defense. So, with getting the 6 weeks in, this freshman class is what I thought it was going to be is, a lot of talent. And as they've caught up with us scheme-wise, I think you'll see more and more of them throughout the stretch run here.
And Coach, I want to piggyback off that. I know in my old days as a youth league coach, we always told our kids, hey, make them snap it again, which was basically don't give up big plays. And if you do, get them on the ground and you can get a stop near the goal line. Talking about this team, I think big plays hurt you guys in the first few games. Some big plays this week, but there weren't the touchdowns, those type of things. Is this group getting better in terms of communication and quote unquote technique discipline?
Yeah, I think eye discipline is a big deal, for us on defense, and honestly, understanding, how people are attacking you. And it comes down to really simple fundamentals. We played better fundamental football against Columbia, not enough to get a win. And, we're on that progression where I think we're moving in the right direction, especially on defense.
Well, Coach, moving the right way on the defensive end, also in the running game. That will be where we go to our sitting down with Sgar spotlight. We check in with the running back of the Hoyas. Had such a good game on Saturday, Jaden Sumter. Jaden, thank you for taking some time to join us on Sitting Down with Sgar.
No problem. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. You ended up with 92 yards on the day. A big day for you. Want to start off here. You're a guy that obviously had some big time in high school. Was it just a good feeling to get back out there and get a chance to know you were going to get some carries and have a chance to produce the way you know you can?
It was a great feeling being able to go out there and help my team. I just felt great about it.
Well, that's wonderful. And how would you describe your running style, Jaden?
Dominant. I'm not avoiding nobody. I'm not running around nobody. I'm running through you. You know.
When you talk about that, I'm assuming that's something you've had your entire life, that type of hard-nosed running style?
Yes, sir.
Well, Coach, want to get it over to you here. What did you see in Jaden that made you think that he could be a big part of this program? Coach, you're on mute.
Sorry, it's not the first time I've done this. I love Jaden. Jaden's one of those guys that you say if you got to go back to back in the alley with somebody that's going to fight tooth and nail for you. That's his style. He's been that way since he's come to Georgetown, and it's great to have everyone else see the grit and the toughness that we see on a daily basis here.
Jaden, let's get it back to you. I know that Coach talks about competition in all the rooms on the entire team. I can assume for when that group, especially in the summertime when everybody's healthy, there's got to be a lot of competition in that running back room. What is the competition like in that group of running backs?
Running back group, we think we're the best group on the team. So, that just goes to show, like, the competition. We got Bryce, great running back, Savion, Superman, me, Uday, even Mason Gudger, he injured right now. But when everybody's healthy, our room is really dangerous. And you just got to get your chance. Once you get your chance, you got to dominate with it.
Jaden, want to talk about the guy that leads that running back room, Gary Ramey, your coach. What's it been like playing for Coach Ramey?
It's been great, Great man, never leads us the wrong way, and he makes sure we know all our assignments. So it's been a little easier with him as a running back coach, given he tells us everything we need to know, prepares as well.
So that's the key with him. It's the preparation. Have you guys feeling like you're always ready to do your best?
Yes, sir.
Well, Jade, one more for you. I got to ask, you went to Springside Chestnut Hill up in the Interac in Philly, and that's a prestigious tradition-filled school in a prestigious tradition-filled league. Kind of like Georgetown and the Patriot League. Was that one of the reasons that Georgetown and the PL appealed to you?
Yes. Our campuses are very similar. I know Interac play is real good competition. You never know what you're going to get. Just like the Patriot League, you never know what's going to happen each game, each week. It's always neck and neck. So it's like I'm still close to home.
Jaden, I got to ask, did you get a chance to play against Isaiah Grimes during your time in high school?
I did play against Isaiah Grimes. I didn't play that game. I had broke my shoulder, but we did play against Isaiah Grimes, and sad to say, he did his thing. They won.
So here's the question for you. Obviously, no money changing hands, but is there ever a friendly wager when your school and his school get together in the Interac?
Yeah, my school will win every game. They is scared to even talk about our schools now. That 1 year was a fluke.
Well, we know you weren't a fluke this weekend against Columbia. Congratulations on a great day, and have another one this week against Morgan State.
Thank you, sure will.
That's Jaden Sumter on our Sitting Down with Sgar spotlight today. And want to remind folks, Coach, that of course your next game will be against will be homecoming this Saturday as Morgan State comes to town. It's a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff as the Hoyas wrap up non-conference play. Register now for the alumni weekend events at GeorgetownGridironClub.com, or just a fan, go to guhoyas.com to purchase your tickets for the matchup against Morgan State. Well, now time for our sitting down with Scar Coach's Corner, as we will bring on our the defensive line coach of the Hoyas, Cam Bear Spence. Coach Spence, thank you for taking some time today.
Hey, thank you for having me. You know, it's a great honor being with the voice of Georgetown. So I'm extremely excited about this segment.
Well, you're in a joking mood, Kev, so let's go ahead here. How'd you get the nickname Bear?
So actually, it came from my dad, right? They used to call him Sugar Bear. So he's from Washington D.C. till he died. So Sugar Bear was a part of the one of the go-go band groups back in the day, and so kind of was a coming of age thing for me, you know, and became my brand, who I am. You know, bears. If you look a thing about a bear, you think, oh man, this big scary, you know, aggressive person and always angry. But bears are actually the calmest people in the world. You know, they love salmon. I love salmon. They care about what they love, you know. But when you mess with them, we got that other side to it. So don't let the smile fool you. That's pretty much what I'm saying in a nutshell.
Coach Scarlotta, I tell you what, you and Coach Spence have to go on a black bear trip. Montgomery County, Loudoun County, you guys can find some out there. It's not too far away. Before we get into Coach's thoughts on you, Cam, I was looking at your bio, and boy, have you worked under some all-time great coaches at a young age already. I mean, you worked for and played under Mike Loxley, who some say is the best recruiter in college football. Then you do your Bill Walsh Fellowship with Sean McVay and the Rams. You had some time with Ohio State with Ryan Day, and then at Mac Brown with at North Carolina. One, do you pinch yourself sometimes getting that many good opportunities early on in your career? And what are some important things you've taken from working under some of those greats?
Yeah, it's a true blessing and an honor just to be in the position that I've been in at such a young age. And I always give it up to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I would be nothing without him, and he is the reason why I'm in this position today at such that youthful age. And just some of the biggest things, and I'll kind of go through the list of guys that you labeled. One of the biggest things with Coach Locks, first of all, like shout out to him for allowing me to be able to student coach after I medically retired my sophomore year. First of all, that's one of the biggest turnaround changing points of my life, because I went from being a full-time athlete, devoted, four-star coming out of high school, sky's the limit, right, to now the football game is taken away from me physically, you know. So I always knew I had to have a backup plan, and it just thanks to my parents just keeping me grounded, thanks to God, and I was able to push, and he allowed me to student coach at Maryland. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth in the coaching profession. I student coached for 2 years until I got my degree. So I really GA'd. It felt like I've been a GA for forever, you know, before I got this opportunity. So one of the biggest things with Locks I got was just being a people person, especially in the recruiting world. He's one of the best to ever do it, but he's also just real. He's honest with people, right? So that's kind of where I've gotten that style of being able to recruit, being able to relate to players, right? So for example, if I know you played basketball in your past, when I'm talking about a spin move and pass rush, I'm like, hey man, you got to drop that inside foot, right? Keep that outside elbow for that ice pick like a post move in basketball. So just certain things like that, it helps a player feel like, okay, coach relates with me. He gets me, right? And when a player can trust you, right, he was going to run through a brick wall for you, and that's
Sure.
all I want out of my players. You know what I mean? And just with Ryan Day in Ohio State, just first of all, shout out to Larry Johnson. He recruited me out of high school. Coach Johnson is the best defensive line coach there is. There's never been another guy to have 3 NFL Defensive Rookies of the Year come out of the same position group. And one of the biggest things I learned from Coach Jay that I hold right now with me is just being able to paint that picture, right? That vision. Show a player when he first gets there as a recruit, right? The whole picture, right? And now we take it down, we break it into parts, right? And we put it all back together again, right? And he also helped me just be a better speaker, right? And being able to motivate people, whether it be the change in voice. It's almost like you're watching a movie right now. You know what I mean? When just talking to me, and that's kind of how it was with Coach Johnson as well. So I learned
Sure.
that motivational aspect from him, as well as him being a great pass rush coach as well. Also, just kind of going with Sean McVay, my time with the Rams in the NFL, just kind of learning how things are done at that level. And he's one of the like the best coach I've ever seen as far as developing players, especially at that level. You know, usually it's the next man up mentality, but they truly develop players. They are truly detail oriented about their work, right, with the Rams organization. So it was really a blessing and an honor to be with those guys. And then lastly, Coach Brown, he's been one of the best coaches to ever do it. Hall of Fame college coach. You know, I aspire to be in that position one day. But one of the biggest things I took from Coach Brown is you can be at the highest level of this game and still be a great person, right? Still treat players with respect, and make them understand and know that you love them, right? And also, I learned the business side with Coach Brown, how to be a good CEO. He hired coordinators and made them, elevated them to be coaches, head coaches on their side of the ball while he kind of oversaw everything. So I kind of learned how to be a head coach, right? And also how to politic as well in this profession, which is, I think, is a skill and an asset that you need, especially with the NIL market these days. So I've been able to, like I said, I've been blessed just to be all around those people, you know.
Sure. Coach Scarlotta, let's bring you in for a second. What about Coach Spence made him a guy that you wanted to add to your coaching staff?
You know, you want to surround yourself with people that you can learn from. And I've been blessed to have people that I work with that are older than I am, with Coach Doherty and the other Coach Spence on our staff, who's not Coach Bear, as well as, you know, with Coin Dang and Trey Henderson and Joey and Cam. So, you know, for me, trying to build a staff that has a lot of different aspects and guys that are eager and curious and want to learn, that's what I want to surround myself with. On top of the fact that you want people that can relate to your players and meet them where they are and push them and develop them. So I've learned a lot from Cam. We have a lot of DC connections through Father Kemp and through the DC world. And, you know, when we had an opportunity to get Cam here, for me, one is a great defensive line coach that experience with folks that he just mentioned that I hold in super high regard, as well as helping us continue to recruit the best and the brightest here to the hilltop. So, you know, being able to package both those things together, it's just the beginning of that. It's been great to have his energy in the room and honestly somebody that I can learn from as well.
Cam, one last quick one for you, and I know you love all your guys. You're going to expound on a bit, but what have you liked best about working with this D-line group, where you do have some veterans in there, some really good veterans, but also have a lot of young, good talent?
Yeah, one of the biggest things, Jeremy, just to kind of sum it up, is just they come to work every day with a lunch pail ready to go. You know, they've got bright eyes every day. It almost seems like they're eager to learn something new from me, and I try to keep it that way as well with them. You know, one of the first things I told them when I got the job is that I want them to be CIA men, confident in themselves and their abilities, intelligent, being a lifelong learner, right? Always asking questions, never leaving anything to chance, and then lastly, being assertive, right? Assert yourself in the classroom, assert yourself on the football field, and assert yourself in life. So a lot of times, right, I like to correlate things and put them in real life scenarios when I'm also talking ball with them. But everybody in that room, they come with a great attitude every day. There's a lot of different talent. And I told my guys, I said, listen, I'm going to need everybody this season, right? So it's going to be a point in time when, you know, a one may end up being a two, or a two may end up being a one, or a young guy may get more playing time than an older guy. And they've had a great attitude about that, and they've all came together to try to be great leaders, right, of our room.
Well, Cam, thank you so much for taking some time today and joining our Sitting Down with Scar Coach's Corner.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Coach. And Coach Scarlotta, as we wind this one down, it's homecoming on the hilltop. You've been around for a lot of these. Kind of give me your thoughts on another one.
You know, our alumni are incredible. You know, going up to New York, we had a great event, you know, with our guys in New York City, as well as a great showing, you know, at the Columbia game. So for us, anytime that you can invite people back to the hilltop, it's a huge deal. We'll have a big event on Friday night, as well as our letter jacket ceremony hosted by Dave Gorsey, one of the architects of our modern day program. So, you know, for me, it's great to have everybody come back and see our players now, meet Jaden Sumter, meet our new coaches, and really stay attached to the program. You know, one of one of the unique things about our program is the enthusiasm that our former athletes and current athletes have for the program as well as Georgetown as a whole. That bond is super strong, and it'll be on full display this weekend.
And of course, the team you're playing, a Morgan State squad, you've seen them once before. Really exciting game back in 2021 where Tyler Knopp ran wild as the quarterback. Coach, this year's Morgan State team, obviously going to be a very athletic squad you're going to be facing off against. From what you've seen of the Bears on tape, what are some keys to you guys to coming out with a homecoming win?
Yeah, the first thing that you see on film, everybody wants to say is, oh, they'll have great athletes and move well. That's all true, and they're extremely well coached, have a lot of respect for their staff and just how they prepared. They've had a difficult schedule, having to play MAC teams as well as playing South Alabama. Had a couple wins, a great game this past weekend out in Indianapolis in the Circle City Bowl. So just getting a beat on them and watching their film and getting a feel for what they're going to look like. For us, it's all about ourselves. We take care of the ball and continue to eliminate the explosives on defense. We'd like to move the ball offensively, especially early in the game, not wait to the second half like we did against Columbia. So all things that we focused on, and honestly, with really very competitive, tough practices, not perfect, but really good ones here on Tuesday and Wednesday. Hopefully we can keep that going tomorrow.
Rob, before we wrap up the show, I know you wanted to share a couple of thoughts on former Georgetown assistant coach Dan Droz, a guy very important to you.
Yeah, Danny Droz, the Deacon. When I got here in 1990, he was a secondary coach, and has history going back as the DC Player of the Year in 1954, 1955. Went to Anacostia High School and played in what a lot of historians will say is the most important high school football game in DC. They played in Griffith Stadium, and it was the first interracial high school football game, caught the first touchdown. And really it was a groundbreaker, for his family, in the Marine Corps, and then coming back and being a volunteer coach at Georgetown while working in the financial industry. And, he was one of the all-time greats in connecting people. He was incredible at staying in touch with you and is one of the bedrocks of the Georgetown community going way back to the early days with Scotty Glack. And so, we had a memorial service that was attended by over 200 alums back in the fall last year. And today he's being honored over at Arlington Cemetery. And I know there's probably about 100 of our alums that are over there today. And the Deacon made an impression on a lot of people and taught you a lot more than playing defensive back or returning kicks. He's one of those lifetime coaches that is, the architect of what we have right now and, what our kids benefit from, with the program that they started, mentored, nurtured, and is the modern day football that we have today here at Georgetown.
Well said, Coach, and good luck this weekend against Morgan State, and hopefully you guys get another homecoming win. Thank you for taking the time today here on Sitting Down with Sgar. Great, Jeremy. Thanks. Always good to see you. You as well. Now wrap it up for our show. Remember, Hoya's taking on Morgan State this weekend. It's a 1 p.m. Eastern kick. If you're in the DMV, come out and catch it. Get that homecoming crowd, or you can watch it on ESPN+. Thanks to Coach Scarlotta, as well as Hoya defensive line coach Cam Spence and Georgetown running back Jaden Sumter, and our producer Eliza Kravitz. That'll be it for Sitting Down with Scar. I'm Jeremy Huber and Hoya Saxa.